I want to talk about Pete Golding. Have you been around Pete Golding at all in the last 10 years or so?
Oh yeah, both at Alabama and Ole Miss.
Okay. He just signed a contract for $2.5 million. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. He's got Mississippi roots through Delta State. He seems happy as all get out under Lane. Lane's letting him run the show on the defensive side of the football. Why has Pete Golding developed into one of the better defensive coordinators in the country, in your opinion, Luke?
Probably because he had the opportunity to work under the best there is, and then take away from all of that and go do it on his own without having the defensive-minded head coach above him. I just think that it's almost like you're in that little cocoon, and then you go to a different destination, and you're allowed to blossom. Not saying that Nick Saban hindered him anyway, but put yourself in that position, right? I mean, you replace Kirby Smart, and your head coach is Nick Saban. That's a tough thing to do for any coach, particularly, though, a younger coach that was coming into his own. And so I think that you draw from your experiences, and then when you have an opportunity to kind of let it fly, and you have an offensive-minded head coach that's a play caller or involved in play calling, he can't be involved defensively to the level that a Nick Saban was.
Right.
And that probably allowed Pete Golding to bloom. If you remember that, those 2 years that he was a defensive coordinator at Alabama, they wanted to run him out of town.
Yeah.
Not because he wasn't a good coach, and they were actually good on defense. They're a top 10 defense. But he wasn't Kirby Smart, and he's not Nick Saban. And the moment you see any type of little crack in the foundation, and you maybe have a bad game, or you do some things defensively that are uncharacteristic to what fans have seen for 15 years, all of a sudden you become the scapegoat immediately.
Right. Well, it worked out. I mean, he basically talked about how he got a little burned out, which happens in Tuscaloosa under Saban. And then it was kind of a nice balance, because Lane works hard and coaches hard, but he also gives them some time. And man, he has developed into a phenomenal defensive coordinator. I think he's worth the $2.5 million. He's a really good recruiter too. He's from South Louisiana, as you know, Lugs, went to Delta State. There's something up in the water in the Mississippi Delta because of all the guys that have gone through that program to go on and coach. It's small college football, but they're tough as hell and have won a ton of games over the last 30-plus years. Could you see Pete Golding? Do you think he's got the stuff to be a head coach at some point, Luke's?
Yes, I do. If he wants to be, I think when you have to be such a detail-oriented guy, and I think he is, especially in today's game with all of the things going on. But I also think he's smart enough to know that you can't take the wrong job.
Right.
Right. You got to. I talk to Dan Hawkins about this all the time when he left Boise State and took the Colorado job. And he's very blunt about it. He's like, I didn't ask the right questions. I made a really bad decision because I took the wrong job.
Wow.
And you go from the penthouse to the outhouse real quick, right? You go from being a guru to an idiot real quick. So you got to make sure that you put yourself in a position, if you're going to take a job, that there's an opportunity to win, opportunity to compete as a championship. There's university alignment from the top down. And that football is a priority. That's one thing. Like, take a look at Tony Elliott. Tony Elliott was the offensive coordinator.
Point. Great example.
Yeah, offensive coordinator at Clemson. Really good coach, good recruiter, great guy. Well, he takes the Virginia job. And, Bronco Mendenhall had, done wonders with that thing, and then he decides to step away. He didn't get fired. He just stepped away.
Right.
And so you take that job, then you have the shooting tragedy. Right, literally right as you take the job. And you're at an academic place where basketball is king, and you can't operate that place like you're at Clemson.
Right.
And it's taken him a little bit to have to work around things that he was accustomed to having right down the hallway. Well, you don't have that there. So I just think you've got to really do your homework on the opportunities that are out there.
Boy, that's a good point. For our listeners, Tony Elliott was co-OC at Clemson on their big run, and Luginbill's close to that staff, Dabo and all those guys that went through Venables and Elliott and who's the dude, Lugs, that took the South Florida job that was the other co-OC with Elliott?
Oh, Alex Galesh.
Okay, yeah. No, it was another guy, but anyway, his dad's in coaching. But the point is, now you go to Virginia and you're losing, and like Luke said, people don't think you're any good anymore. Like 5 minutes ago you were, and now, But to piggyback off what Luke said, Dan Hawkins was like the hottest guy in college football, and he took I think Luginbill nailed it. He took the wrong job.
I mean, he absolutely took the wrong job. And so, and it can happen. It can happen. And everybody, like I always hear people talk about the Arkansas job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, everybody loves Sam Pittman, but, at the end of the day, that is a really hard job. Not because they don't have resources, not because they're in the SEC. It's a hard job because of who you are having to battle against, and your in-state player pool is virtually zero.
Right.
You don't get to just pluck 15 kids a year out of your own state and then supplement it, from other areas. You have to go into everybody's backyard, everybody else's backyard, to compete for players, and then you've got to compete in the transfer portal. Like that job is not the job it was when Bobby and Houston Nutt were there.
No. Tom Luginbill on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. It is all about we're talking about Pete Golding, and top 10 defensive coordinator in the country, in my opinion. He's done a great job at Ole Miss. Now Lane's letting him do interviews. I thought the interview he did last month at the Delta State Invitational Golf Tournament was incredible. I mean, he just told you the whole blueprint of Lane's blueprint, how he runs the program. It was amazing. 20 minutes of like super in-depth stuff. He's a South Louisiana guy. We were talking about this yesterday, and the Tulane job could open up. And John Summerall is going to be. What do you? I think Summerall is a future star. Do you think that, Tom?
Yeah, no, I think he's really, really good, and I'm assuming you're going down the path of, if Kentucky makes a move on Mark Stoops, which I don't think they'll do because the money that they're going to owe him is ridiculous. But that's the job that Summerall would probably pursue.
Right. But I think he would take Arkansas. I mean, if Sam gets run this year, which I think he will, and I don't want him to, but I think he will. He could be in play there though, because I mean, if somebody offers you $6 million, dude.
Yeah. See, now we're having a different conversation, right? Because now you're talking about life-altering wealth,
right?
Generational wealth that's different. If we're talking about, Group of 5 to Power 5, Group of 5 to established SEC or Big Ten, or potentially a top ACC job, that's life-altering money. That's an entirely different conversation.
Right. And it's like Barry Odom. I don't know if he may have taken the wrong job, but $5 million a year, knowing that he's going to get $20 million. I mean, would I have gone to Purdue after winning 11 games at UNLV? Probably not. But I also understand, take the bag and be able and know if it doesn't work out, you got beach money. Okay, so if Tulane opens, Pete Golding or Ed Ogeron could be in the mix for that job.